Hey guys, as we're moving into week 3 of our study, I'd like to talk with you about John's use of numerical values in Revelation. Now, I have a lot of information for you in this video coming at you rapid fire, so feel free to go back and rewatch as needed. We've already discussed the significance of the number 7, and of course 7 is a number of perfection and completion. But John also uses several other numbers to convey deep spiritual truths that we might miss if we don't understand how he's using them. As you begin your reading for this week in chapter 4, you're immediately going to start encountering some of these numbers. The first one is in verse 4, in which we have 24 thrones with 24 elders sitting upon them. Now, multiples of 12 almost always refer to God's people. There were 12 tribes of Israel and 12 disciples. So when we have 24, we have representatives for all of God's people, both Jew and Gentile. A little later in Revelation 7:4, we have 144,000 worshiping around God's throne. Now, John likes to use multiples and combinations of his numbers, so we have 12 times 1,000. And 1,000 in Revelation simply represents vastness, or as many as you can imagine. So the 144,000 is all of God's people worshiping around his throne. And in confirmation of this understanding, note that although John hears this symbolic number, he sees a great multitude which no one can count, and that's 7-9. Now, John likes to use multiples, but he also likes to use fractions. More often than not, fractions have a negative connotation. In Revelation 6:8, the 4 horsemen are given a fourth of the earth to destroy. In 8:7, a third of the earth is burned. In 8:8, a third of the sea becomes blood. The most common fraction, however, is half of 7, or 3.5. This is a number of imperfection or incompletion. You'll see it expressed as 42 months or 1,260 days, both of which are 3.5 years. Typically, when 42 is referenced as a time period, it refers to a time of testing or persecution, but also refining, provision, and protection. We might also note that 42 is a multiple of 6 times 7, completeness versus that which is incomplete. 6 being the number, I call it the almost but not quite yet number. And it doesn't have a positive or negative connotation in and of itself. In the creation account, humans are created on the 6th day. We're in God's image, but not God. In Revelation 4:8, our living beings have 6 wings. This might indicate that they're close to divinity, but not quite. Later in Revelation, we have 666, the number of the beast, sort of incompleteness cubed. So the number of 6 can represent a positive striving toward the perfection of God or an evil imitation of it. And on the subject of those living creatures, we have 4 of them. Typically, when John uses the number 4, he's referring to all of creation, as in the 4 corners of the earth, north, south, east, and west. And these creatures are representative of all God's creation, just as the elders are representative of God's people. Now, there's so much more I could say, but I'm going to stop here. I hope you'll think on this and let it sink in. Again, you can refer back and watch this video again as you encounter numbers throughout your study of Revelation.